So again, we're wrapping up this course today. What I want to talk to you about are two things that are linked in here. One is how to use some of the code in here for your future job search and stuff like that. So I have this thing. Now, one thing to look at is how to use GitHub, uh, and create your GitHub repo so that it looks nice and change some things for that. Um, and again, because a lot of you should be posting a link to your GitHub on your resume. That's often standard for software developers here. Two things. I'm going to jump into the second one first. A lot of the assignments for this class don't go into your public GitHub. They go into our class, our course, what we call GitHub Classroom there. And so if I go to my repo, but I also, there's a separate area called GitHub Classroom here where we have a GitHub Classroom for our course, and this is where your repos sit for that. And so a lot of people can't necessarily see them, or they may not be. So make sure if you want to use a classroom thing, show, one of some of your classroom work on your public GitHub, check, and again, see if it shows up here. Mine often don't here. And if they don't, make a copy of them there. So you can open them up in Android Studio, and then you can go to source control, and you can share the project on GitHub, and it'll say it's already on GitHub, and you can say share it again, and you can create this public GitHub. You can push it to your GitHub, not the classroom GitHub. So look at that to decide which of the projects you want to move to GitHub. The other thing is just make your GitHub repo look nice there. What is your public thing? You might want to just open up, open up a incognito version of it and look at that link. And that's what employers would be seeing, and see what they can see here for this. A couple things that employers often like to see is the contributions. They like to see lots of green, that you're regularly contributing to GitHub repos there. They like to see GitHub repos that you push to multiple times here. Now, that doesn't always work depending on how this works, but look at that. Certainly, you might want to modify your profile picture. I've been trying to unify all my profile pictures recently to use this this AI drawn one. So maybe I want to do that instead of that old picture of me here. So again, decide how you want to update your profile, or what you want your stuff here. There's a couple articles here talking about that. How to use GitHub. I don't need to take your quiz. Again, and then README files, not only for your projects, but your repos. Remember, each repo, so if I go into one of these repos, each repo has a README file that's a markdown file. So if I go into, where am I not seeing my repos here? Oh, I'm in settings. So if I go into one of these repos, there's this there may not be a README file, but you should generally, if it's one of your important repos, you should make sure you have a README file and have an overview of what this does and why this is an important thing. So you should be adding README files and some documentation too. Again, maybe you pin a couple of your best repos to the top of your GitHub repo. So again, that's a good way of working with this. So other thing I suggest is doing some what I would call journaling for job interviews. what you need, when you're doing these future job interviews, what you'll want to have is a set of stories you want to tell there. So, like when my family gets together with Thanksgiving, my brother often tells the same stories every year, and he's kind of has a repertoire of stories there. There's the big buck that got away story. There's the fishing story. There's these stories we hear, and that's what you kind of want. Maybe not those stories, but you want your own stories that put you in a good light and stuff. So you want to think of, stories like, because you're going to be asked, what is your biggest strength? Or how do you learn new things? Or tell me a challenge you once faced. Or describe your leadership style, or how you work together on a team, or sometime when you worked on a team and things didn't go well. And you should have these stories with specifics ready to go that you're ready to just kind of play, or at that time there. And after doing a course like this, you should have some of those stories about some nice complex coding projects you did. You should write those down somewhere so that when you're going in a job interview, you can read those, those little stories you wrote. It said, remember that time when I was in this class and Tom teamed me up with this other person, and that person did not, and that did not go well, but we managed to get through it this way because I was so great. I don't know if you always reminds you of the Mormon. You and I are a team, but mostly me. But or a time where things went well, or a time where you ran into an issue, or a project you're just proud of. And then how do you relate those? What kind of questions can they do? So there used to be a game called Cards Against Humanity there, and I often think in a job interview you should be thinking about Cards Against Humanity. So when Cards Against, isn't it? Is that what it's called? Right. You have a deck of cards with sayings on it, and then someone will say something, and you have this deck, and you have to pick one thing out of the deck to play. That's what your interview is like, right? You want to have your deck of cards here. They'll ask you a question, and you want to look at your set of cards in your brain and say, oh, I want to pick this card and tell this story at this time to address this because it will sound good. Maybe in a more optimistic way than Cards Against Humanity actually functions. Oh, that's an hilarious game. But that's sort of idea here. So again, this is a good time at the end of the semester to, create a couple cards that you'll be ready to play at a future job interview. So, okay, enough of that. The last thing I want to mention is that next week we are going to announce that the Google Career Certificates will be free to students soon. We were sent out this email, and this announcement was sent out to faculty this Monday. It should be sent out to students next Monday, December 15th. So we have a set number of licenses to Google Career Certificates through Coursera here, and you can ask for one of them, and then you can complete the Coursera licensing stuff. So like here is Coursera. I'm right now doing the Google Advanced Data Analytics certification here. I'm doing the Intro to AI certification. I'm doing the Data Analytics certification there. So I signed up for some of these courses. I'm working my way through them. I want to see what they're like, because I figured some of you will be doing them, and so I want to see what they're like here. So and I think we'll be announcing that you can get college credit for doing these. So you can complete let's say you complete the Google Data Analytics certificate, you could get college credit for that. So many credits of actual college coursework. And we're looking at maybe tying that into maybe you could use some of that credit in your major or your data analytics minor in some ways. So we'll be having some announcements over there. But the thought was that over break, we wanted to push this out before break. So over break, if you're interested, you could. These have been around for a while. They've just cost. They'll now be free to you as a student. So keep that in mind. Watch for that email. So, okay, that's all I'm talking about today. Oh, one other quick thing. Remember, so Monday is the showcase, and Monday you're presenting 3.3 is your presentation. If you're on-campus student, you will be presenting at the showcase. If you're online student, you'll record a video, but you do not have to present the current project you're working on. You can present any of the 3 projects you did at the showcase or something. Kind of like the idea is that you want to highlight what was your best project here, and you want to show off your best project for that. So figure out what project. So just so you know, remember, if you were really proud of project 1 or project 2, and you want to show that, you can show that for that, do that at the showcase. Okay. And again, no final exam next week, just the final project is due. Any questions? Okay. I'll let you keep working on things on the final project then today. Just a quick note for the online students. We are running into a fair number of problems in the class with AI trying to code. I think most of the students have gotten to some point where AI has broken their app and they've had to go back to their fixed version. So you might want to be careful in what you commit to GitHub and how often you commit to GitHub. And so if you have something working that looks good, you might want to make sure you commit that so that you can always get back to that point if AI breaks it later on. So we're running that. I think almost everyone in this room has had to do that at least once. So just remember that. So. Yes, yeah. Yeah, we've asked, I've seen students ask Gemini to redo this without changing it or without doing the changing the interface, and it will wreck things when it's supposedly refactoring without changing it and stuff like that. So there. Sometimes if you can use a better AI, my experience is some of the newer models are better at doing this than the default model, but I'm out of tokens here. We will be giving you access to a much better Gemini, but as students and faculty, but as part of this college program, but that is not coming out until the 19th. So the end of next week, you'll have much better Gemini for next semester. Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. But it's blocked on, right. Yeah. So I have it. Yeah. So I use the same thing. I have it on my non-CSS account, but so yeah, Gemini Pro is free for students generally for a set amount of time. If there's frequently an offer for that. So, and that, like Gemini 3 or ChatGPT 5.1 are both quite good. And I haven't tried the newest Claude, but I've heard that's really good. So, okay, I'm going to be quiet again.